Hi guys, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the journey to finding healing. So when I was thinking about this, I thought about healing. Just looked at different things people said about healing. I read a little bit, looked a little bit. I found one definition I really liked, and I'm going to be reading that to you. And it says, healing is the process of making or becoming sound or healthy again. I just really like that, especially that soundness, sound or healthy again. So seeking healing is seeking health, is seeking soundness. I like soundness. I just like that, seeking soundness, because if we're being honest with ourselves, a lot of us are in a place where we can't really admit that we're sound. I was just thinking the context where I come from. When we talk about healing, the context and my original background. When we talk about healing, you're able to openly come and say, oh yeah, I need healing. God, could you pray for me? Or could you please, I need healing from this. Or, I've got malaria, I'm ill. I've got the flu, I'm ill. Pray for me. My tooth hurts, It's very easy to come out and talk about that. But when it comes to things like, I'm struggling so much mentally, emotionally, it's not something we outrightly come out there and admit. And I'm not saying, I'm one of the people who has found it hard to talk about struggling emotionally or mentally. I'm talking about myself as well. It's not something that is easy to do, but that's more where I want to talk about today, because healing is a very, very broad topic. And I'm going to start by talking about a healing process that I had to go through, a journey I had to go through to find healing. And so this is just because, and the reason I want to talk about it is because I truly, honestly believe that the process, the way you start your healing journey and healing process, the way to even start that is by actually admitting that you're ill. Someone who is not ill doesn't need a doctor. Only the sick need a doctor, So if you're not ill, if you don't admit, because some people are ill, they know they're ill, they know they're hurting. They know they are broken or are being broken or have been broken. But it's not something that in our culture or in the environment we're in that you openly admit and say, hey guys, I'm struggling. So because of that, it's not something that you volunteer openly. And so, so many people who are ill do not even admit in the first place that they are ill, that they are sick, that they are hurting, that they are breaking, that they are broken. So the first step, and I'm saying many people, and that includes me, for a very, very long time, I didn't embrace, or I didn't accept that I was broken from the experience that happened to me. And even though I could see, there's evidence everywhere, from the way, from, my relationships and different things, and some of the things that I was really paranoid about, it was clear that I definitely had been broken and had been hurt. But the first step, like I said, is admitting that you've been broken. So yes, I was broken. I was hurt. When I was about, I think 7 or 8, an uncle, no blood relation, he was not related to us, but of course from our culture, you call people who are older than you your parents' friends, people like that, uncles, aunties, who we really loved, trusted. My parents trusted him. My parents loved him. He looked after us. I mean, we loved him. He would play with us. He would, we're young. He got along with us. He got us. We loved him. And he started, what I realize now is he started sexually abusing me. I won't go into details about exactly what he did, but it was a sexual abuse. And yeah, it's difficult to admit that, but yeah, it happened. And he was someone that I trusted, someone my parents trusted, and I couldn't talk about it. Like, who talks about that? I in fact felt guilty because growing up, I kept feeling it was probably somehow my fault. I kind of participated, so it's my fault. And this was me. That was something that broke me. And that was something that affected every relationship I was in, even up till when I met my husband, And till I got married, I still refused to admit that I had been broken, even though there were evidences of it in my relationships, in the way I related to even my husband. There was evidence of the fact that I hadn't started healing from that brokenness in my past, from that hurt, from that abuse of my past, and he wasn't the only one that abused me. There was a house help, a lady even, who also abused me sexually. And it's hard. I couldn't even tell my parents till I was married and had kids, I was able to even start to talk about it. And I'm not alone. I've talked to some of my friends. I've spoken to quite a few people who have had similar experiences of abuse and brokenness in their past. That's not the only thing, but that's the one I'm going to be sharing about today. For some of you, you've had similar experiences. You were abused by people you trusted as children. For some people, it's just things people have said to you. Maybe your parents, or a parent has said something so hurtful to you growing up or as a child that crushed your spirit. And you've been living with that till now, or an auntie or somebody, did something to you. Now, honestly speaking, many times, we're supposed to just not talk about it. Hey, it happened so many years ago. Why are you still dwelling? People have implied that when I talked about it. Yeah. So when did that happen? How old are you now? Come on, you were a child. But yeah, it affected me. I mean, I still consciously have to claim the healing that I have started receiving when I get paranoid and when it's just because of this abuse. And a lot of people are going through that. For some of you, it's similar. For some of you, you are in toxic, abusive relationships where you have so-called friends who put you down, who drain you, who make you feel useless, and for some of you, it's marriage relationships where in your marriage, your husband has so hurt and crushed, or your wife, because it's not one way, has so hurt and crushed your spirit, and you don't know how to move on. Some people say, did he beat you? No. Did he slap you? No. Did you? What are you saying? And it's such a wrong way to look at things, because you have been hurt. You've been hurt. Your spirit has been crushed. It's been crushed. Don't let anyone belittle your experience. Don't let anyone make you feel like what we're talking about, is a big deal. People have gone through worse. No. Everybody's experience is different. Everybody's journey is different, and like I said, so I'm going to just talk about a few steps, and these are steps I took myself. I'm still taking in some cases. So the first step is admitting that I'm broken, admitting that I'm broken and hurt. it was hard. So it sounds so easy to say now, yeah, I was broken, I was hurt, I was abused. It's something I can say now. It was not easy to say, because voicing it out loud sort of makes it real. It's like, yep, I've said it, so that really happened. It really did happen, because it's so easy to put it at the far part of your mind, or for some of you that are currently facing the hurt and abuse, people will just dust yourself and move on. Find something else that makes you happy, which is what a lot of people are doing, And this second step for me is forgiveness. That's a big one. Easier said than done. And for me, forgiveness is a two-way thing. First of all, forgive yourself, because for some very sad reason, the devil whispers to you, it's your fault. If you didn't do this, do this. Some people, even for rape, some people have been raped, and you just, somewhere behind your head, and that is the enemy, the devil. You hear it said, you hear it being whispered, it's your fault, and you start to believe all those lies. So forgive yourself first of all. It wasn't your fault, but just choose to forgive yourself for allowing yourself to, it's not like you did anything, but you have been feeling like you have done something and it's your fault. So just find it, just say, I'm going to move on. I'm going to forgive myself. Not for what you did or didn't do. It's just, I'm not going to allow myself go this deep again. Just forgive yourself. Then the next big step would be, that I found useful and helpful to do, after forgiving myself and, for even believing the lies that it was my fault. The next step was to forgive the people who have abused me. And many times, I had to start looking at it, like many times, people who hurt people are hurt people themselves. They've been hurt, they've been abused, so they abuse. Now, that is not excusing it. That is not belittling it. That is not even saying it's okay, So forgiveness is not about saying, oh, what that person did was okay. No. It in fact, has nothing to do with that person. It has everything to do with you and being able to free yourself. T.D. Jakes says forgiveness is not about exonerating what the person did or saying it's okay that, it's not saying, oh, what the person did was not that bad. No. It basically, he says, it's about empowering yourself and not your past. I like that. Forgiveness is about empowering yourself and not your past, So it's about you, and there's so many reasons. The Bible says in Ephesians 4:31-32, let all bitterness, wrath, and anger, and clamor, and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Honestly, I won't lie to you. I was filled with bitterness, wrath, anger. Again, especially when I started to understand it more, a grown man was abusing me as a child. I was filled with bitterness. And I think I had a right to be. But Bible is telling us here, let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ Jesus forgave you. Forgiveness is a topic on its own, a whole topic on its own, and I'm not going to go into that right now. But that is a good reason to forgive, because we were forgiving ourselves. Having said that's not an easy thing to do. I know. I've been there. It's not easy. But if you start to realize it's not about that person, this is about me refusing to let what that person did to me in my past be something that is empowered. I'd rather empower myself and my freedom and let go and forgive. Now, forgiveness is not now saying, so therefore, this person who has hurt me is now my new best friend. No, that's not what I'm saying. And I don't, and that's not what is expected from us. We forgive them. Yes. We love them as God has ordered us, as Christ has asked us to love. But you don't have to put yourself in the place where they have the power to hurt you again. It will be stupid to do that. Okay? So another reason why it's so important to forgive is because of what unforgiveness does to you. It crushes your spirit. It's not just the hurt. What it does to you is it crushes you. It makes you, like, I like how Proverbs 17 puts it. It says, a crushed spirit dries up the bones. That's how you feel. I felt like that many times. Like my bones were dry, like I was drowning. That's what a crushed spirit does. And you can't start having a merry heart. It says a cheerful heart is good medicine. That's Proverbs 17:22. It starts from saying a cheerful heart is good medicine. You can't have a cheerful heart if you are bitter in your heart. If you're carrying bitterness, malice, unforgiveness. Look, I'm not saying this because I'm wholly there yet. We're all in a journey of getting to know God better, getting to understand forgiveness better, finding healing. We're all in a journey of trying to find healing, And I'm not saying this because it's something that's been easy. No, I'm still going through the process of this in some areas of my life. But with this particular area, God had to help me. See, you can't have a cheerful spirit if your bones are crushed, if your heart is crushed, if your heart is full of malice and pain, which rightfully it should be. You would say, oh, come on, I have a right to be hurt. You do. But staying there, and please just note that admitting that you were hurt is, I'm saying admit, I'm not saying stay there. Admit is the first process. Say, yes, I've been hurt, but don't stay there. How can I get out of here? First step is, like I said, forgiveness. No, the first step, is admitting. The second step is forgiving yourself, forgiving the person, so that you are not empowering them and what they did, but you're empowering yourself. You want, and when you start to do that, you start to have a cheerful heart. And it says it's good medicine. It really is. Because the opposite of it is, honestly, because of a crushed spirit, because of hurt, because of so much that people have gone through or are still going through, it actually affects your physical health. Your bones start to dry, like you feel it physically, not just emotionally and mentally. It manifests physically, A merry heart does good like medicine. It's like they poured cold water on you. When you're in the midst of heat, once that merriness, once that healing starts to come, it becomes like medicine. You start to feel like, it's a relief, So it's not easy. It's not something that's easy to do. And for me, what I have found is that power that God has given me, the power of the Holy Spirit, to be able to go through the process and the steps I need to finding this healing. John 1:12 says, but as many as received him, he gave the power to become children of God. You need power to be a child of God, because being a child of God means you have to forgive. And it's not something that you can do with your strength. I won't lie to you. You cannot. You cannot. You need a higher power to guide you towards getting that forgiveness, and that is Jesus. He's the only one that can give the power to even get you to the place where you begin, to find forgiveness. The third one I'm going to say, the third step I'm going to talk about, and I'm not, like I said, each of these topics can be topics on their own where we can talk about alone. So the next one is get out of toxic relationships. Dun-dun. And I know, I'm sorry, my hair is getting messy as I speak. Some of you have friendships where just because you don't want to offend people, you don't want to hurt people, you're still in those friendships, but and whenever you go and visit that person, or whenever that person speaks to you, you just end up feeling put down, drained, abused. You go in and cry, but tomorrow when you see the person, you're like, hey babe, you're right. No! Get out of those relationships. Doesn't matter what anybody thinks. Doesn't matter if they've been your friend forever. Doesn't matter if they're family friends. It doesn't matter who they are or who they were to you. You need to get out of relationships that are toxic. And when I say toxic, toxin is a poison. A relationship that is making your spirit get crushed. A relationship that is making you want to do things that you shouldn't be doing. That's a toxic relationship. Now, when I'm talking of, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about marriage relationship. That's a totally different topic on its own, but I'm going to touch on it. I'm talking of people in your life. Honestly, unfortunately, some of these people may even be people who are related to you. It's not about, we've talked about forgiveness. You forgive them, you love them, but you don't have to be their BFFs. You don't have to be their best friends. You don't have to always, when you know that you are in the process of still getting your healing, keep off toxic relationships, or even after you feel like you've been healed, keep off relationships that would trigger those feelings that you had before. We're growing. Nobody can ever say I'm there. Go away from anybody, move away from anybody or any relationship that is toxic for you. That's making you not want to do the things you should be doing. That crushes your spirit. You should move away from those relationships. Cut them. Even if there are people that are blood relatives to you, but I'm not going to have to go into detail. Everyone is in a different journey, but as I speak now, those people in your life who that their relationship to you is actually making your spirit get crushed. It's actually making it's toxic, it's poisonous to you. When you finish talking to those people, you want to go get yourself drunk or just numb yourself or something, People like that should not be in your life. It's hard to do, very, very hard to do, but it's something that we need to do, to be, in order to be able to find the peace and the cheerful spirit, Now, having said that, I know some people will be saying, what if that person is my spouse, my husband, or my wife? Now, there's no one simple answer that fixes everything. Everybody is in a different place. But this is what I'm going to say. If you are in a marriage relationship where you are being physically and emotionally abused. Now, please listen very carefully to what I'm saying. Don't say that I've told everybody to go and leave their marriages. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I'm not talking about, my husband we got so angry and said this. We've all been angry and said things we don't mean. I raise my hand and say I have done. I'm not talking of those outbursts that happen once in a while. And of course, sometimes those outbursts can be very, very hurtful. And the same principle of forgiveness applies. But in those ones, like I said, that's a topic on its own. There are different ways to find healing in marriages. But I am talking about abuse now. abuse. If you're in a relationship, a marriage relationship, or you're engaged to someone, or you're dating someone who is abusing you physically, who is beating you up, and tomorrow they come and say sorry. I'm not talking about, I told you I'm not talking about one outburst of anger or someone just, they said, I'm talking of someone who you know yourself, you're listening, you know yourself, you're being abused. This person is beating you. You know in your heart that you fear for your life. My sister, my brother, get out. Get out. It's a toxic relationship. Yep, I said it. Get out. First of all, see, when the Egyptians, when Herod was trying to kill, sorry, not the Egyptians, when Herod was trying to kill Jesus, his parents took him and ran away to Egypt to save his life. There is a place for running away. I'm telling you, there is a place. And there are people who are out there there's help out there for people who are being abused. If you are being physically abused in your marriage relationship, get out. Get out. Get out of abusive relationships. Now, some abuse, marriage abuse, I'm talking about abuse in marriage now, a psychological and mental abuse, in the sense that this person has crushed your spirit mentally, emotionally. They may not necessarily have beaten you, but that is a kind of abuse where you need healing, and sometimes you need to get out of as well, even if it's for a while, because even though we belittle mental abuse sometimes, we belittle emotional abuse sometimes, some women are in a place where they are consistently, even till now, and men, not just women, being crushed, being abused, like I said, not necessarily physically. Everybody, I'm not going to give a general rule for men for emotional abuse in marriage, because everybody's in a different place. Everybody knows, God, we're all made differently. You know what you're capable of taking. But if you're in a place where you are getting crushed, where your spirit is getting crushed, where your mental health is being affected, where you know that you can no longer take care of your children, where you know you can no longer take care of yourself, where you know that you have to find an escape through drugs, through extramarital affairs, through sex, through, so many different ways. You have to find an escape to be able to survive. You're taking those drugs that you shouldn't be taking. They may seem like prescribed drugs, but yeah, those were not specifically prescribed for you, especially in places where you can get off-the-counter drugs, just to be able to cope. You're taking alcohol just to be able to cope with your relationship. That's a toxic relationship. But you are staying there just because I have to stay. I can't be settled. But sometimes to get healing, you need to get out. For both of you to get healing before you can even attempt to start making your marriage whole again. Now, like I said, for emotional mental healing, I'm not saying there's a one way out. There's no one principle I'm giving. Everyone is in a different place, in a different time. But what I'm saying is, if you find yourself in a place where you are not coping again mentally, you're not able to look after yourself, your kids, you are beginning to have suicidal thoughts. You are beginning to have thoughts of killing somebody. Yep, there are people who are going through that. Honestly, there are, Then get out and heal yourself. Because we've had stories. You think those things happen random? Of where a woman just woke up and stabbed her husband. Don't kill somebody's son. Get out. Don't kill somebody's daughter. Get out. Heal yourself. And then start thinking about healing your marriage if you can be healed. But yes, I said it. If you are in that state, and please take note, I'm not saying if you are angry with your husband or you shout, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are in a place, and you know yourself, I don't even need to explain. if you are in a place where you feel, you know that you are needing, that you are in, you know yourself, you know that you are in a bad place, you're needing all those things I mentioned in order to be able to survive your marriage, and that you are in at the edge where you are going to snap, it's better to get out. Get out and start your process of healing yourself. Okay? Now, having said that, God is able to heal marriages, and I'm not putting that down. So just get a balance here. What I'm saying is, if you're in a relationship that's been affecting you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, if your bonds are beginning to dry, if you are getting crushed because of words that have been said, things that are being done to you, get out. I will say it again, get out of toxic relationships. Okay? And the last thing I'm going to talk about is start to work on your wholeness. I can't give it all, like I don't have all the answers. I'm just giving you a few steps. These are things that we're going to keep talking about, and we'll bring even more, I'll talk about that a bit later. I'm going to say work on your wholeness. One way is to start to read the Bible, speak out the truth, speak truth over yourself. What has God said concerning you? God has not given me the spirit of fear, but He's given me the spirit of power, of love, of sound mind. I have sound mind. I have sound mind. I'm beautiful. I'm wonderfully and beautifully made. Say those things, proclaim those things, declare those things. Now, sometimes that is not enough. Many times it's not enough, but this is not something that we do a lot, but it's something I'm going to encourage you to do. If you know that you're in a place that you need healing, go for therapy. Go for counseling. I'm not talking about, I'm not belittling the role of pastors here. I'm not talking about go and talk to your pastor or your pastor mama. Some of them are counselors. Some of them are trained counselors. So that's why I say I'm not belittling the role. But I'm saying there's a place for that. But there is also a place for professional therapy. And you know yourself. If you know you are in that place where you are on the edge, please seek therapy. It's not a bad thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of. There are people out there, even Christian ones, who are trained to give you therapy. So please seek therapy. Read the Bible. Say the things God has said concerning you. You have the spirit of sound mind. You're beautiful, wonderfully and beautifully made. So we're going to continue this with some questions and answers. Not right now, but watch these videos, share it, get your questions ready. Now, I'm not professional. I'm not going to be answering I'm not going to be answering all your questions by myself. I'm going to have my friend Tosin. So I'm going to have my friend Tosin. She's my co-host on our talk show, Real Talk. I'm going to have another of my friends, Abigail. Abigail is a professional mental health specialist, and she's the CEO of Flourish Care Services in the UK. So she's a professional and should be able to help with some of the questions you may have. Anyone who wants to talk or chat with me, you can do that. If you want to challenge or add to what I've said, you may not agree with some of the things I've said. I'm open to that. So yeah, get your questions, comments, and everything ready. Just watch this space. We'll let you know when we're going to be having a live question and answer. We'll keep you updated. But I think it'll be good because it's not just going to be me, myself, I won't just be by myself. I'm going to have Tosin, like I said, and Abigail Windsor here for next time. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye-bye.